Welcome to the 30-minute hour. It's the personal development podcast for entrepreneurs and executive leaders who are looking to level up and become unstoppable. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. Joining me as always, you know him as the super CEO, the business strategist extraordinaire, and all around good guy, Ted Fells.
Happy Monday. Happy Monday. I'm here, snowed in, iced in here. So I don't think, Eric, I'll be getting out probably until Thursday, Friday-ish at best.
Do you live in a rural spot of Texas?
Oh my goodness. I'm tired. I went outside to start trying to shovel, and I got probably a third of the way in the driveway and cracking ice. Not going anywhere. Not going anywhere.
So I called myself being an overachiever yesterday. I said, I'm going to get out here early, just put a dent in this snow, and it doesn't look like it's really accumulating anymore. So I did that, shoveled my driveway and all of that. And a few hours later, it was just like I never did anything.
Like you didn't do anything.
It's
My
all
wife's
right.
like, oh, you're going to have to go back out there and shovel again.
Ice pick. It's solid ice out there.
I'm in Miami. We don't do things like this. It snowed once in the entire history of our city, we're pretty sure. And it was in the 70s. But funny story. So being from Miami and then living in Los Angeles, I went to Kansas City, Missouri in February, and it was cold. Like it was cold. And my boss, who was from there, I was working for Farmers Insurance at the time. We walked into an office earlier in the day. We left at 4:00. It was pitch black. And I said, did it hail? And she said, what do you mean? And I was like, there's all these rocks on the floor in the parking lot. What happened? Did it hail? And she said, Tami, that's salt.
Wow.
They never seen
You know what
salt
that
on the road,
was.
salt on anything.
Oh,
Is
man.
funny.
So for those of you just joining us, the theme of our show today is 4 keys to master influence and maximize impact. This is something you want to really lean into because this influence, I don't care what level you are in business, in your corporate career, you could always become more influential.
And it plays well in your personal life too.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about this, and I'm going to go ahead and introduce the person who you just heard from. We'll go ahead and introduce her. So
She's excited. She's ready to go, Eric.
I'm telling you, she's ready to go. She's fired up. All right. So she's a leadership speaker and a coach who's as bold as she is practical. She transforms strategy into alignment, presence into power, and ideas into action. Please join me in welcoming to the show, Tami Reiss.
And the crowd goes wild.
Also known as Tami from Miami.
Tami from Miami.
Tami from Miami. I've been Tami from Miami since I was 17.
I like Tami from Miami.
Yeah, I mean, I like Tami from Miami too. She's a really nice person.
Fantastic. Well, welcome to the show. I've been looking to do this for quite a while. Glad we were able to make this work. So let's give people some background perspective. You were an undergraduate at UCLA. What was your vision for your career back then? What did you think you'd be doing back then?
Well, back then, my undergraduate degree is in physiology. And I thought that I was going to become a physical therapist and run my own shop. And so nowadays, I still give a really good stretch or massage, but I don't use it very often.
Interesting.
Yeah, no one guesses that one correctly. People figure I was in marketing or communications, business, psychology. Nope. I understand physics and how the body works.
I mean, that's really interesting. I mean, so how do you, because there's a reason I like to ask that question, because very rarely is somebody like, okay, yeah, when I was in college, I knew I was going to be a leadership coach and Tami from Miami and all of that. So how do you get from there to where you are now? I mean, what were some of those experiences that got you to this point?
So some of those experiences were I went to business school straight out of UCLA. The University of Florida has a Master's of Science and Management program that like I got a master's for $4,000 in 10 months, and that seemed like a good investment.
Oh man.
I learned about how the rest of the world worked, and I learned about supply and demand and marketing and business law. And I figured out even then that I wanted to be a consultant, meaning that I knew I didn't want to be dedicated to a single idea, but more to help other people realize how to be better and more efficient at their world. So I worked for a variety of companies. I consulted for a variety of companies. And there was a point in my career where I totally thought I was a failure because everyone else had worked for individual tech companies and they had worked their way up the ladder. And I thought I had to become a VP of product by doing that. And it turns out I didn't, because that isn't where I was going to thrive. I realized that my brain from physiology is very systems oriented and I can connect dots other people can't. And I see patterns other people can't. And I'm actually enabled by all the consulting experiences I've had. I've seen hundreds of companies. And I'm sure, Eric, you feel the same way that based on the number of companies you've seen, it's much easier for you to see, oh, I see how this pattern's going to play out. I don't want you to step into that pothole right there. Or here's the fast ramp to success. Let me help you out. And so that's where that started. And when it comes to the public speaking, I've been giving speeches since, I don't know, college at some point. And I've always loved it. I've always been a confident communicator. And there are lots of funny stories about moments that people were confused as to who I was and why I was 20 and willing to talk to a crowd of 500. But I always was. And I've really stepped into that space as not everyone else is happy to be in front of a crowd of people staring at them or is very good at simplifying things so that it's digestible for everybody. And so that's why I enjoy doing what I do, because I don't believe there's that much like new under the sun in the nature of ideas around business or influence or authority or anything else. But I do believe that every person who's a thought leader of sorts is bringing a new perspective in a way that hopefully reaches an additional audience that's feeling challenged or struggling with how they can bring those ideas into their world and implement them.
Yeah, but what is it about influence? Because there's a lot of lanes you could have gone down, right? What is it about influence specifically that attracted you?
So when it comes to influence, it has to do with my career. So the thing I did was called product management. I even wrote a kid's book about it called What Do Product Managers Do? And product management is this very fascinating space within both technology companies and non-tech companies, in that you're supposed to be like the CEO of your product and no one actually has authority. So we say we have to do a lot of influence without authority. And we have to become masters of influence without authority. And so this is a skill I've worked on for decades, because how else could I convince the engineer that they should do something the way I wanted, or advocate to the designer that we weren't going to follow their precise plans, or talk up to the CEO and VPs and other people that I had to convince that my strategy was the one that should be followed. And over, 20 years, I learned a trick or two of that process. And most recently, when I was an executive coach like you, Eric, I recognized that time after time again, so many of the challenges the business leaders I was working with were interpersonal. And so often I was helping them remember that they needed to influence these other people, whether they were the rest of the C-suite, whether they were the board or their own employees, because once you turn on that influence mindset, it helps you strategize about what you need to do to get someone moving and build momentum.
So I would think, I mean, this topic of influence, this applies, I don't care what you're trying to do. Like even in your own house with your 12-year-old, your 15-year-old, your wife,
I say it's equally applicable to getting my toddlers to go to bed as it is convincing my mother-in-law Thanksgiving should be at my house, or my husband that we should go to Greece this summer. Like every single one of those things, influence plays a role. And I think that's actually the first key, which is to recognize that everyone sells something. All of us are selling something. Selling is not a dirty word. It is not a dirty activity. We are selling ideas. We're selling this idea we have in our head for what could be to someone else. Every leader has to gain followers. And the only way you do that is you sell them on your ideas, both your ideas that there's a problem in the world that's worth solving, on your idea that you've got a good solution for that problem as an entrepreneur. It's how you sell to your customers. It's how you sell to partners. It's how you sell to employees and everything else in between. Selling is what we all do. Dentists sell, doctors sell. They have to sell you on taking your meds. They have to sell you on getting that cavity filled. And the fact that we have determined that selling is this negative, dirty word, I think it prevents a lot of people from feeling like they can sell their ideas and have influence over others. As a product person, I used to say, I'm not a salesperson. If I build a product and it has a solution for the problem you have, I'll show you where they match. And I still feel that way. I will do that. But there's a sales aspect of this is your best option. Let me show you how what I'm offering you is going to help you get where you want to go. And so I think that's the first step, is recognizing that we're all selling something and it's not a bad thing.
That's so funny that you say that. With my team, we talk about, like I'm like everybody, like business development, everybody sells. In a small business, I have an IT company, everybody sells.
Yeah.
Right. So everyone knows somebody in your network or whatever. I'm not asking you to hard sell. I'm just asking you to just ask a friend, a colleague, a relative, hey,
yeah,
do you all ever have a need for this? Or do you know who makes those decisions? That's it. But people freak out about selling something, but then they don't realize someone is always selling something. Little Johnny over here's baseball team needs new uniforms.
Girl Scout cookies.
Here, Girl Scout. You're right. You go into a grocery store, right? And you see them put the Girl Scout
cookies. This is that season.
You just feel so guilty. Hey, sir, can you He's like, look, I don't want these.
Can you help me go to space?
Here's $10. Here's $10. I can't say no to you. Right.
So what I help people recognize is that, yes, for a small business, by all means, you got to all be out there advocating for your business. But internally, you have to sell your ideas to each other. The IT guy has to sell somebody that Control-Alt-Delete or returning on their computer might just help.
It might just help.
I did a training for a marketing agency in December, and I said to them, you have to sell each other on, this is the copy that's going to resonate with the client. This is, don't give them that image. They're going to freak out if they see that image. Or selling their clients, hey, we know a thing or two about marketing. I know you think you know your domain, but if you put that out there, it's not going to perform well. And how can they, as consultants, sell what they know to be true? How can we all advocate for what we know is right in a way that gets other people to do something about it?
Yeah.
Because we can't do it alone.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. So on your website, you encourage everybody to leverage influence and not authority to gain momentum for ideas. What do you mean by that?
So if you're the boss, you have options. You may think everyone's going to listen to me. Like Ted, he's telling everyone that they can sell, right? Go out there and sell. And I'm sure he doesn't actually do it that way, but he could tell someone to do something. And all of us have parents and partners. So when they tell us to do something, are we that excited about doing it? No one likes to be told to do something, right? Like everyone hates being told to do something, because We're adults. We know what we can do.
Right.
And so the same thing applies to business. So as a leader, rather than relying on your authority and your command and control as the way you're going to literally tell someone to do something, take a step back and say, how can I make this person want to do it? What would happen if I used influence to get them to buy in? What would happen if they recognized the value for their own ambitions to what I'm talking about? So in Ted's company, that may be, hey, you want to be able to have a float in the Thanksgiving Day parade. We can only do that in our community if we get to this many dollars. And so in order to do that, we need everyone to get out there selling.
Yeah.
Or, hey, by the way, we all want to take off between Christmas and New Year's. We can only do that if we hit our numbers.
Mm.
So figuring out what incentivizes people helps tap into their emotion. Like we have to remember. So we talked about how everyone is selling. Number one. We talked about how everyone hates being told what to do.
Right.
And the third thing is that everyone's a person. We're not programming a computer to do something. We're talking to another human being, and they have emotions and they have ambition and they have someone at home nagging them or whatever else it is. And we need to respect that they're a human and a person. And how can we tap into their human side so that they bring their best selves?
Here's something I've discovered just in my years in coaching, that there's a certain percentage of the population, maybe they had daddy issues and issues with them, with their mother or what have you,
Yeah.
that they're literally not going to do it just because you said to do it.
Right. That's true.
I mean, they just have this issue with authority that they
Yeah.
need to work through. Maybe they need therapy or what have you. So that's why I think what you're saying is so critical. If you're a person of influence and you can get them to believe it's their idea, I mean, you're going to be good,
And
right?
we all have opportunities. Like no matter how bad the job market is, if you don't like your boss because you don't feel agency in what you're doing, you're going to find somewhere else to be. And the smarter you are and the more capable you are, the more options you have. And the less your boss wants to lose you, right? The less we want to lose our superstars.
Right.
And so we have to be thinking about how can we get them excited, motivated to do things. And that comes from influence and not authority.
I have this saying, I want to make you want to do what I need you to do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make you want to do it. And that's something I practice all the time. I could be at a restaurant and I always engage with the server, male or female. I engage with the server because I want to make them want to give me great service.
Yeah.
I want to make them, when they go in the back, not just because it's their job, but I want them to want it. If they go in the back and they drop that roll, Tami, I want them to be like, no, he's such a nice guy. And I would not want to put that roll back up on his plate.
This happened to me last night.
Yeah.
Last night we were at a restaurant. It was an Indian food restaurant. And there's a dish where it's deep fried cauliflower and they put a sauce on it that was too spicy for my children. I have a 4.5-year-old and a 6-year-old who are down to eat cauliflower.
You got them.
And they were ruining it with spicy sauce.
They'll never want to eat cauliflower ever in life again.
And so after a few rounds of talking to the waiter about this, I said, hey, man, I get it. The chef wasn't in the mood to do this. Will you have him come out, please? So chef comes out and I say, hey, he says, what's going on with the cauliflower? I said, see these two small humans here? They like fried cauliflower. And I know to you it's bland, but to them it's delicious. So will you help me have my kids eat some vegetables tonight? And he was like, so you just want me not to put the sauce on? And I was like, yes. Do one less thing. Like you get to do less.
They probably got a good chuckle off of it, and he gladly did it.
Yeah, and they ate their cauliflower.
Yeah. And at the end of the evening, you had no problem tipping.
No, definitely.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Everyone wins. Everyone wins.
But as a CEO, that money is not the best motivator. It gets you to a certain baseline, but giving someone more money doesn't necessarily bring them along. It doesn't make them want to work harder. It doesn't make them want to bring their best selves, as Eric and I were talking about, their most creative selves. It doesn't make them want to spend an extra half hour to send that email or figure out that problem. That has to do with them wanting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something called discretionary effort, right?
Yeah.
Employees all have that little extra reserve in their tank. They could do it if they want to or not. It's, let's say it's their day off.
Yeah.
And you call them to come in. They could either look at their phone and pretend like they didn't see it, or if they're operating with discretionary effort, they can, oh man, yeah, let me help Ted out.
Yeah.
I want to help the team win. I want to help Ted win. I'm going to come in on my day off and help out.
Okay, so let's talk about that person and what emotions got triggered that made them want to do that. And recognize that what made one person want to do it is different than another person.
Right.
So there's the number 4 key is that everyone is an individual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We as leaders need to tap into each individual person and say, what's going to drive them? Is it vacation? Is it a promotion? Is it more money? Is it flexibility with their schedule? My sales assistant, we were talking about her earlier. She's a mom of young children. She works remotely. And originally she thought she was going to have to work 8 to noon every day. And so after a few weeks of her working or months of working well, I said, hey, by the way, you've now earned my trust. And you can schedule yourself what works for you. So if you need to take off Fridays and you're going to work 5 hours, 4 days a week, that's great. If you need to work 2 hours one morning and 2 hours in the evening, fine with me. I trust you because I see you're motivated to work. I trust you to work and get the stuff done. And she was like, you're the best boss I've ever had. Because that difference of seeing her as the person, not just the employee, and that she's not there to serve me. She's there to serve herself and her own ambitions and her goals.
She goes above and beyond for you.
All the time.
There's probably not a day that goes by that she's not working anyway. And even when today is the 2-hour day, she's going to make sure whatever needs to get done gets done because of that trust that you've put in her. That's great.
And that trust and that agency of her own life is something a lot of us forget to give to our employees. We think if we say, you got to clock in by this time and clock out by that time, and we expect you to make 300 phone calls or whatever it is, that those are outputs, right?
Yeah.
If we tap into the outcomes, if we tap into this is what we're trying to build together.
Yeah.
I want you emotionally attached to the future I want to build. And that you have a role and you have a place and your actions matter in helping us as a collective together get to that place. You show up.
Tami, can I come work for you? I want to work for you.
Got the openings, Tami.
I'm a horrible
boss. I'm about to leave my company. I'm going to work. My team is going to be like, where are you going?
Tami, you know you got influence when somebody has their own company. They're going to leave their company to go work for you.
I'm done with this. I'm done with the CEO here.
If you want to bring me in for a workshop, I'm promoting that I'm helping out a lot of companies with their offsites, right? A lot of teams right now are getting together, and that's a big investment, right? And so I'm sending out a few emails this week about maximize the ROI of your offsite. You're taking people away from their everyday jobs. And the worst thing that can happen to you as a leader is they show up and they say, that wasn't worth it. I didn't get that much out of it. I wish I was checking email. I wish I was talking to my customers. People need to find value out of those offsites, and not enough people think strategically about the people they're selling to, also known as, in this case, their employees, and saying, what does this group want to get out of it? And is it a homogenous group? Probably not. So can I do some customer segmentation here and say, what does this group want? What does this group want? What does this group want? How can I ensure that if I'm going to invest that money in them not working, that there's going to be a payoff?
This is great. So we talked about the 4 keys to master influence. Now you've also got another framework around influence, MAP.
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
So MAP is the shorthand for these 4 keys. So M is manifest, manifest where you want to go. And that's describe for yourself this vision of the world you want to create. And really have an understanding of not only the actions you want taken that Ted needs you to do, but also what happens after those actions are taken. What are the downstream effects? Who is positively impacted because those actions were taken? So that's the manifest. Then we have A for assess. That's the other side. Assess these individuals, assess these people, understand what drives them, assess where they want to go. They have a vision too. They have ambitions too. Understand them. So when we have M, manifest your own vision, A, assess their vision, we can then go to P, and that's promote where you can go together. Find the overlap, find the gray of that Venn diagram where there's something I want or need. How can I make you want it to? How can I help you recognize that this action I need you to do is something you want to do because it helps you get where you want to go? And so MAP is the same thing. You just do it again and again and again. And in the canvas that I have, what's clear is that your manifest is a single cell. You write out that vision. But the assess and promote, it's a whole table. Every individual person you assess as an individual or individual team. You make a decision as to how deeply personalized you're going to get. And once you assess, then you can promote. But until you do both of those steps, what happens is the most common thing, which is I'm going to spend a lot of time on my deck. I'm going to build a brilliant, perfect deck that solves all the problems and answers everyone's questions. And we have a rule in product management, which is a product for everyone is a product for no one. Same thing goes with a pitch. A pitch for everyone is a pitch for no one. So as you're thinking through the MAP steps, build it as a muscle. Think about it for your partner. Think about it for your kids. Think about it for your mother-in-law. Think about it for your boss. Think about it for your coworker. Think about it for the board. Think about it for that person you're trying to sell to become a partner or anyone else. Consultative selling, right? Ted, I'm sure, is familiar with consultative selling. You ask the prospective customer a whole bunch of questions. You get to know their problems. And then you position for them how whatever it is you're selling is going to help them solve some. We can't solve all the problems, but some of those problems. And the way we do that is we pitch them on the future world, which is better because we are solving some of their problems. Salespeople know this. And unfortunately, because selling has this dirty word, like taintedness to it, we don't provide sales training for anyone that isn't a salesperson. Influence and MAP is sales training for non-salespeople. So that's what I do.
That is good.
Ted's wowed.
Yeah, Tammy, I'm like, wow, this is great. I'm coming to work for you already.
I was at the Ringling Brothers yesterday, and their whole new campaign is wowed by Ringling. So I feel that you were wowed by Tami, and I'm feeling very good right now.
Absolutely. This has been great.
So I do want to talk about this. I want to talk about your children's book for a little while too. But first, executive presence. So what is that, and why is it important to master?
I'm sorry, did no one ever tell you that there was like a checklist for executive presence, Eric? What about you, Ted? Did someone like hand you the book on how to have executive presence?
No, not necessarily. I think for me,
so it turns out you're not alone.
Yeah.
And most people who get the you don't have enough executive presence, part of their feedback aren't given much more than that. And so, unfortunately, a lot of people interpret executive presence as confidence. And I got to become an extrovert. And I got to become someone like the personality Tami's putting out on screen right now. And you're wrong. Like studies time and time show that it's the ambiverts, the people who like can sway, right? They know how to assess the situation and adjust appropriately. The people who walk in with curiosity not confidence. Because to be curious shows security. It's real confidence. It's not overconfidence. And the people who want to learn. And so executive presence is a whole bunch of things, but I have a framework for it, and because why not have a framework for it, right? I call them
everything's better with a
framework because you have to have a mnemonic or something to remember it. So I call them the 4 A's of executive presence. And what's funny to me is that most people think about the last A, which is authority, which we talked about earlier. And authority to me is the last step of executive presence. You earn that status of authority. But number 1 is authenticity. First A, authentic. Show up as yourself. Know who you are, know what you believe, know what world you want to create, and always show up as that person. Your best version of that person, but don't try to be someone else. So number 1, A, authenticity. Number 2 is awareness. So much of being an executive is understanding what's going on around you and being able to turn up or turn down what you're doing based on the situation. And if you are learning about executive presence, watch other executives. Be aware of when they choose to speak up or sit back, when they choose to have someone else speak on behalf of an idea, when they choose to own it themselves, when they choose to say, you know what, let's talk about this as a smaller group first. Because that is executive presence. Owning that, hey, this, I'm aware this is not the right arena for this. So we have A, authenticity. Second A is awareness. The third A is adaptability, which gets covered in that awareness. So once you're aware, you can adapt accordingly. And that's adjusting your tone, adjusting what you wear, how you show up. We were talking about how Eric should be on the same level as us. There are CEOs who just like show up like they're not really CEOs. They're like people who want to get a promotion and they sit up like this at a meeting. Or they have some like weird background that doesn't look professional. That's not executive presence. I wore a jacket today. I decided to look more executive because I'm young. I'm not actually that young, but I look young because of the Miami sun. And
absolutely,
you know, like little lapels go a long way. And so that's the adaptability. Because by the way, I even did an Instagram video about this. There's nothing wrong with wearing a t-shirt. You can wear a Mickey t-shirt if you work at Disney or you're at that company offsite at Disneyland. Those are appropriate places to wear your Mickey t-shirt. And adapting and knowing that an executive doesn't want to show up in a suit to our cookout, right? That they meet other people where they're at. So we have authenticity, being yourself, awareness, knowing what's going on, adaptability, adjusting based on that. And then is the authority. Knowing what you have the right to talk about, where you are the authority, where you can speak confidently about something, where you know you are right and how you should advocate for it. And so that's executive presence to me in 4 A's.
So like I had a years ago when I worked for a company, and there was a VP in the company that literally, like, if he was leading a meeting or presenting something, he really paid attention to everybody as far as how they were perceiving it, who looked like they weren't really getting it, who you could just see him really just studying like people as far as how, and seeing how his message. To me, that's an example of executive presence.
Yeah, because he adapted based on what was going on. He didn't come in with an agenda of here's my slide deck and we're going to run through it in a monotone voice. Mm-hmm. He said, I want to make sure the people in this room walk away with an understanding and a connection to what we're doing. And so I'm going to see, okay, this group, they're already in. This group on the fence, this group is naysaying. How can I help the people who are on the fence be brought forward? How can I then help the naysayers? How can I make sure that a maximum number of people in this room are tuned in, are plugged in, and are motivated to do something, right? That so that they bring their discretionary effort to the table.
It's interesting, Tami, that in our virtual world right now, like it's a must to have cameras on, because if people don't have cameras on, it's like you can't adapt. You don't know if that person's rolling their eyes up. You don't know if they're just hanging themselves. Like you're you know what I'm saying? You don't know what's going on behind that, right? And that's why, and some of my meetings, I'm like, look, you guys got to have your camera on.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily care that it's a bad hair day or the dog is running around in the back. Like I need to see you
right.
to be able to.
That right there, Ted, is a perfect example of the opportunity to either be authority or influence. As the boss, you can say, everyone, put your camera on. No why, no influence, no nada. Or you can say, hey, everybody, we no longer work in the same place altogether. It's really important for us to be able to see what's going on so that if one of you disagrees with something and you might be afraid to raise your hand, we'll at least see it in your face. And then we'll ask you for your opinion. But if we can't see your face, we can't tell if you're in or you're out. And we want to make sure that all issues are addressed.
After just eating wings, right? You could be eating wings or something. I don't know what you're like. Yeah. So I want to be able to see your face. No, agree.
Exactly. And but it's not about you. It's about everybody. Like we all want to know what's on your mind. And a lot of that comes from your body language. And if we're missing that, we're missing a large portion of the way you want to communicate. Like 97% of communication isn't in the words, right? A certain percentage, a very small percentage is in the tone, and like something like 67, I forget what the numbers are, but it's this huge amount that comes from body language. How
Definitely.
Don't you want to communicate well? Don't you want us to feel and hear you for what you're passionate about or otherwise, or not passionate about? What's upsetting you?
Yeah.
Or what's boring you?
So Tami, if I'm hearing you correctly, a big key to influence is helping people to understand the why behind it. If you ask them to do something, they understand the why, they're more likely to.
And you have to understand your own why.
Yeah.
Why does Ted want his cameras on? Because he wants a team that sees each other as people, that can help each other, that if one of them calls up somebody else and says, hey, I need you to do this thing, they're going to do it. Because he understands that a connected team works better. And as much as he himself wants to see people's facial expressions, he sees that there's larger value there, right? And once that happens, there's domino effects. So that's the M, the manifest where you want to go. A is the assess. Why should they care about it too? Why is this valuable to them? And that's what you're going to talk about.
Good. So let's talk about your children's book.
Okay.
What do product managers do? Tell us about that.
So I was a product manager and I had a baby, and her name is Ruth, and she's very cute. And there was no book in like the children's section that talked about product management. And I wanted to tell her what mom did. So I wrote some rhymes, and then I wrote some more rhymes, and then some friends wrote some rhymes. And eventually it's like a 30-page book of rhymes about the collaborative process of working together to build something new. And we were just talking about problem solving, right? Like selling is problem solving. So on the last page, our protagonist, Sue, builds a flying car. And it says, if problem solving sounds like your speed, as a PM, you will surely succeed. You'll influence those who work on your teams to build real things which started as dreams. And that's what product management is about. But if you think about it, that's what management is about in general. How do we motivate and influence people to do the impossible? To challenge the status quo, to say just because this hasn't been done before doesn't mean we cannot do it right now if we work together to make it happen. So that's the message of my book. I didn't realize that was the message of my book until it was very centered on product management at first.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a larger message about how we can work together to solve problems and serve users' needs.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to bring you back because there's a
Yeah.
lot of different. There's so many different little directions I want to
We
take
didn't
this
even get into
conversation
L.E.A.D.
down.
I told you,
Right,
Eric, we were not going to get into L.E.A.D.
I have a lot of stuff I want to ask you, but we have to bring you back. I know you got things to do later, so I don't want to keep you on with us all
I'm
night.
here for you and your community as long as you want it.
So, how can people best connect with you? They want to get your book, want more information from you.
You can go to TamiReiss.com if you spell it correctly, REISS and TAMI. So TAMIREISS.com, or I'm sure it'll be in Eric's show notes somewhere.
Yeah.
That's my website. It talks about influence for impact. There's a whole page on the book where you can all the international places that Amazon sells books, you can buy it. It's in Kindle for like $1. So like, by all means, go please buy the Kindle edition. Don't invest more money than you're ready to put into it. But I really want more people to learn these skills. So on my website, you'll find links to where I blog about this, which means you can get this information for free. There's a link there to this Confident Communicator GPT I created, which you can use for free. The Kindle is 99 cents or something like that because it requires me to put a price on things. But I want people to lead better lives. I want people to feel more agency in their lives, whatever it is that their dreams are. And to recognize that we can't do it alone. You gotta bring other people along. You gotta have other people follow you. You gotta build momentum by motivating other people to give of their discretionary effort to help you out. And the more we can tap into influence, the more people's discretionary effort, whether that's an intro email, that's a discretionary effort thing, or anything else, is going to come our way. Because we've helped people feel, because they're people, good about what they're doing.
Tami from Miami, ladies and gentlemen.
Let me tell you something. That Tami from Miami is something else. But I knew with that whole red thing, I knew, let me tell you. Yeah.
I told Eric we weren't going to have any trouble with me being entertaining.
Oh, you're great. You're great. This has been amazing.
I really do appreciate you providing this space for me and a new community to learn this thing. It's why I do podcasts. It comes back to that, democratizing this knowledge, because a podcast is something you can digest on your commute. And if you're listening to Eric because you want to kill the procrastination monster, I want to help you do that. And I want to help you kill the procrastination and everyone on your team.
Fantastic. Again, Tami, thank you for everything that you shared. And I am serious. We are going to bring you back because there's some other lanes we need to go down to help people. This is fantastic. So thank you for sharing. And for those of you watching and listening, don't forget to share the show.
Share the show.
Yes, please share the show. Share the show. Share the love.
There you go. All right. And don't forget, you can catch the 30-minute hour podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of those podcasting platforms. All you need to do is hit follow or subscribe, and you'll never miss a future episode.
And if you want to see our red, you should come check us out on YouTube.
Exactly. If you want to see that, Tami and Ted didn't send Eric the red memo. You can see that too. They just left Eric out of that memo. They said, "Hey, we're going to show up in red, and you can
see what Alabama.
You just do it, but you got black, but you got the black on. So that's what we all got a black.
Yeah, we all have black on.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
okay,
you did.
There
Okay.
you go.
Yeah,
it's okay.
That's all.
You got on red shoes. You got on red shoes over.
Wear black. Make sure nothing spills on you that anyone can notice.
So as we speak, people are just rushing to YouTube to see exactly what we're talking about.
That's right.
What does Eric have on? What does Tami have on? Man, I'm just on the edge of my seat here.
We're missing something.
No, this has been great. So again, thank you for sharing everything that you shared. And those of you that are watching and listening, as we sign off, some things to think about. One thing I want you to think about as it relates to becoming a person of influence and your quest to becoming more influential is this: don't allow perfect to become the enemy of progress.
I literally just posted perfect, like progress without perfect, an Instagram video because there was a rainbow today that was only partial. And I said, I'm sharing this with everybody because it is incomplete, but it is still beautiful.
Exactly.
And incomplete does not equal ugly.
Right.
I'm glad you and I are same page about that.
Yeah. Sometimes done is better than perfect.
Always.
There you go.
Because you're never going to be perfect on your own. But by putting something out in the world, you'll get feedback.
There you go. Fantastic. All right. Well, until next time, have a great one.